The moving plane suddenly reversed, causing the flight attendant to be naked under her skirt, fell unconscious on the ceiling. But now no one is in the mood to take a look, because the plane is about to land, and it was in the position of stomach up and back down to land. I was amazed by this operation. However, this miraculous operation succeeded in landing. The captain saved 96 lives. He became the hero of the media. But soon after, he was investigated by the police. Why did he fly the plane upside down? And why did he go from being a national hero to a suspect? Back to this morning. The captain knew he had to fly the plane today. He had a night of alcohol. A night filled with alcohol and drugs and the flight attendant's girlfriend. For the captain, who had to fly the next day, this is definitely a violation, but he's used to it. It's not the first time he's done this in 20 years of flying. The first thing he does when he wakes up is take a sip of wine and rinse his mouth. This looks no different from an alcoholic. However, with a new skin, he became a captain who was respected by the passengers, the captain who was worshipped by the flight attendants. The plane took off on a rainy day due to the bad weather. It started to be bumpy during the ascent. The co-pilot was a novice, very cautious in the operation. However, the captain was very experienced. This kind of problem is not a problem in his opinion. After an operation, the plane stabilized after the operation, but he was bold enough not to stop the ascent. Instead, he continued upward, preparing to pass through the gap of dark clouds in front of him. This way he could get out of the bad weather as soon as possible. But no one without a lot of experience would dare to do this. Not the co-pilot. His face was frozen in fear. He couldn't even breathe next to him. At that moment there was a more serious bump in the airport. The co-pilot warned him that he was going too fast. But the captain not only did not listen, but also increased the horsepower full speed up. Soon the plane saw the sun through the dark clouds. The plane also stabilized. The captain came to the back, reassure the passengers, explained why just made such an operation, and then they will enjoy a smooth and comfortable ride. The passengers applauded and expressed their gratitude. The captain enjoyed the moment. He secretly opened 3 bottles of vodka. He poured them all into orange juice. None of the 100 or so passengers on the plane noticed. He took a few sips of the juice. Then he handed over the control of the plane to the co-pilot, put on the blindfold, and went to sleep. This operation, the first cooperation of the novice co-pilot, stunned. However, the flight attendant is very calm. She said the captain often do this. Just get used to it. The journey was uneventful. The plane arrived at the destination airport very smoothly, preparing to land. The co-pilot started to operate.
Center maintain flight level 300, subject 227.
Whoa, move. What is that? The elevator feels really stiff, son. All right, no force.
The elevator is malfunctioning. The sudden jolt has the passengers panicking. The co-pilot is also in a state of panic. Only the captain, who had just woken up, was more relaxed. He asked the flight attendant to remind passengers to fasten their seatbelts. But just as he was about to take over the plane, the elevator suddenly rebounded. The plane started to dive down. The captain immediately contacted the tower. Then he lowered the gear plate and landing gear. Then he drained the fuel. This was to slow the plane down. But the plane was still swooping downward rapidly. Soon the buildings on the ground were clearly visible. Below is a densely populated area. The captain had been taught that even if the plane was going to crash, must avoid the crowd. It was a close call. He made an unthinkable decision. Retract the flaps and the speed flaps. Turn the stick to the left. Then push the power lever to the bottom. With this maneuver, the plane was flipped over. The cabin was full of wailing and screaming. There were even disobedient children who did not wear seatbelts. Fell to the ceiling. The plane flew upside down. The plane stopped swooping. It started to glide backwards. It was now impossible to land at the airport. The captain requested to land in a nearby clearing. After receiving approval, he put the plane back on its feet. The plane lost all power. There was a church in front of him. There was a group of people holding a ceremony down there. It was like their death prayer. The captain slowly swerved to avoid it, but the wing still cut off the top of the church. Then the plane fell on the grass. By the time the captain was conscious, the rescue team had arrived. We could see the plane was broken into 2 sections. The tail section was still on fire. Fortunately, The captain drained the fuel in advance. There was no explosion. 96 out of 102 passengers and crew survived. The captain's amazing maneuver was a miracle in the history of flight. He became a national hero. After being discharged from the hospital, the first thing the captain did was to dump all the alcohol in the house. Starting from today, he decided to stop drinking. I have to say, this family is really a lot of alcohol, more than even water. After a few days of recuperation, the inspection report of the plane came out. It was a mechanical failure that caused the crash. The lawyer told the captain, although it was a mechanical failure, but 6 people died. Someone has to take the blame. And now the easiest person to take the blame is you, the hero captain, because the forensic pathologist detected alcohol in your blood, and the concentration was very high. In addition, you were also found to be on drugs. If one of the DUIs and the DUIs is confirmed, you'll go to jail for the rest of your life. The captain was stunned by this sudden surprise. Immediately bought a large bottle of wine to suppress the shock. The next day, the airline boss held a meeting. He didn't want the captain to be proven guilty either. Otherwise, the company would have to pay a large sum of money to shift the blame. He needed a lawyer and the captain to work together. The captain approached the flight attendant and the co-pilot. I hope they can help to hide his drinking, because both of them smelled the captain's smell of alcohol on his body. Although the captain has a problem with drinking and driving the plane, but after all, it was his magic operation, so that they survived. Both promised to help him hide. Next is the lawyer's business. His specialty is to get rid of the evidence against him, like the captain's alcohol report. With the help of a huge airline, it's much easier to handle. The results of the investigation are coming in. The crash was indeed caused by a plane malfunction, not pilot error. 6 people died. The responsibility was borne by the manufacturer of the aircraft parts. I thought this was the end of the story. The captain will continue to sit as a national hero, but investigators found 2 empty vodka bottles were found in a trash can on the plane. There was no damage, which means someone drank it. But the flight that day was a short one. There was no airplane meal. Only the crew had access to alcohol. So, 10 days later, there will be a hearing for the captain of the plane. This is something the lawyers did not expect. Fortunately, in one of the tragic deaths of a flight attendant, alcohol was also extracted from her body. When the time comes, just put the blame on her. Although this is a good idea, but the captain's heart inexplicably began to irritate. The lawyer warned him to stop drinking from today until the visa meeting is over. He must not drink at all, and the captain obeyed. He really didn't drink at all for 9 days. This was very painful for the captain, who was an alcoholic. He came to his ex-wife's house looking for comfort, but his son told him to get out. It turned out that the captain's life of living all day long made the happy family become broken. He is not a good husband and not a good father. The son has no love for the father, only hate. Tomorrow is the hearing. For the sake of convenience, the lawyer arranged for the captain to stay at a nearby hotel. He was told not to drink. The captain couldn't sleep at night and opened the refrigerator. It was full of drinks, not a single bottle of wine. He went to the next suite by accident, opened the refrigerator to see. Good guy's a refrigerator full of wine. The lawyer was afraid that he would steal a drink. All the wine was changed to here. Then he took out a bottle and looked at it. I think I just smell it and do not drink it, right? So he opened it and smelled it. It smelled really good. Then he put the wine back. The next day, the lawyer came to pick him up. However, he opened the room and saw a sober man's room with bottles all over the floor. The captain collapsed in the toilet. His head was cracked. It seems that he has drunk all the alcohol he gave up in the past few days. Several people were confused. They didn't know what to do for a while, because the hearing was about to start in less than an hour. How could the captain participate in such a dazed state? Finally, my best friend Fatty came up with an idea. Take out a little milk powder for the captain to suck. Sure enough, the captain took a sip and came to life. Put on a suit and sunglasses. Looked very good, just like the day he took off before the same spirit. The hearing began. The investigators showed respect to the captain. They had 10 experienced pilots. They simulated the crash that day, without exception. All of them were killed. This is more evidence of the captain's use of the aircraft. The whole audience applauded him. Then the investigators released a photo. After the investigation, the accident was caused by the failure of the aircraft's elevator. Screw crane failure caused. Next, the pilot asked the captain 3 questions. Had you been drinking 3 days before the flight? No. And did you drink on the day of the flight? Neither. Last question. The 2 empty bottles of alcohol found on the plane, were they drunk by the flight attendant who was tragically killed? Just one more lie. The captain will get off scot-free and continue to be a national hero. However, This time, the captain did not answer decisively. He looked at the picture of the flight attendant on the screen. His eyes were red. The flight attendant was actually his girlfriend. The night before the flight, she had been drinking with him, so alcohol was detected in her body, and she was killed because there was a child on the plane. Didn't fasten her seatbelt. She lost her life because she tried to save the child, and now she's being called a hero by the public. If she was the one who drank the alcohol, it's the same as saying that she'll die in peace. Thinking of this, the captain replied decisively.
Trina Marquez did not drink the vodka because I drank the vodka.
He admitted that he had been drinking, and not only did he drink that day, he had been drinking every day for a few days. Even last night, he was still drinking. The captain felt a great sense of relief after saying that. He finally no longer have to lie. In the end, the captain was sentenced. Life in prison. He was indeed a great hero in the crash, but the violation of the law cannot be offset by merit. That's why you don't drink when you fly. You don't fly a plane if you drink.